Hey everybody, BF Shivers here. Today I'm going to be uploading my first video, which is going to be a read-through of Chapter 1 of my book, Tales from the Mind of BF Shivers, The Worm Collector, which is the first in the series. And it's going to be done using an app called Narrator, because I simply cannot stand the sound of my own voice. So without further ado, I'm going to play that. If you guys enjoy it, leave a like and please subscribe.
Tales from the Mind of BF Shivers, The Worm Collector. Chapter 1. James had always liked worms. He liked the way they wriggled through the dirt, the way their slick bodies glistened when he lifted them from the soil after a rainstorm. He liked the earthy smell that clung to his fingers when he scooped them into jars, the faint squirming sound they made when they slid against one another. To him, worms weren't gross. They were fascinating. They were alive, mysterious, and somehow comforting. But tonight, something was different. James lay in bed, staring at the ceiling of his small room. The glow-in-the-dark stars he had stuck there years ago still faintly shimmered, though most had peeled at the corners. His desk sat against the wall, cluttered with notebooks, bug guides, and 3 glass containers filled with soil. Inside those containers were his prized collection. Dozens of worms he had dug up from the backyard, the school playground, and even the muddy ditch behind the grocery store. He had named some of them, though most were just specimens. The containers were sealed. He had made sure of that. Each lid was tight, each hole poked carefully for air but small enough to keep the worms inside. He had checked them before bed, like always. Now, in the middle of the night, James heard something. It wasn't loud. It wasn't even clear. It was a faint, wet sound, like something dragging across wood. He sat up, his blanket sliding down his chest. His eyes darted to the desk. The containers were still there, shadows in the dim moonlight. The sound came again, a soft, sticky slither. James swung his legs out of bed, his bare feet touching the cool floor. He hesitated, listening. The house was quiet. His parents' room was down the hall, his sister's across from his. No one else was awake. He stepped closer to the desk. The first container looked fine. The soil inside was damp, the worms curled in their usual knots. The second container was the same. But the third, the one with the pale worm he had found yesterday, was different. The lid was slightly ajar. James froze. He remembered tightening it. He remembered pressing it down until it clicked. Now it was lifted, just enough for something to slip out. His stomach tightened. He leaned closer. The soil inside was disturbed, tunnels collapsed, the surface churned as if something had clawed through it. The pale worm was gone. James's breath caught. He scanned the desk, the floor, the walls. Nothing. He crouched, peering under the desk. Still nothing. Then he felt it. Something cold brushed against his ankle. James jerked back, his heart hammering. He looked down. A worm, long, pale, glistening, was sliding across the floor, leaving a faint trail of slime. It moved faster than any worm he had ever seen, its body rippling with unnatural strength. He stumbled backward, his heel hitting the bed frame. The worm turned, its head lifting slightly, as if sniffing the air. James's skin crawled. Worms didn't do that. Worms didn't hunt. The pale worm slithered toward him. James grabbed a notebook from the desk and dropped it over the creature. The worm writhed beneath it, pressing against the edges, pushing with surprising force. James pressed down, his hands trembling. The sound of squirming filled the room. He wanted to scream, but he didn't. His parents would be furious if they knew he had brought worms inside again. They had warned him about it. "Keep them outside, James. They don't belong in your room." He had ignored them, thinking it harmless. Now, with the worm thrashing under the notebook, he wasn't so sure. The notebook shifted. The worm was strong. Too strong. James grabbed a jar from the desk, unscrewed the lid, and quickly lifted the notebook. The worm shot forward, almost leaping. He slammed the jar down, trapping it inside. The worm thrashed against the glass, its body slapping wetly against the sides. James screwed the lid tight, his hands slick with sweat. He stared at the worm. It stared back, or at least it seemed to. Its head pressed against the glass, its mouth opening slightly. James saw tiny, needle-like teeth glinting in the moonlight. His stomach lurched. Worms didn't have teeth. This one did. James backed away, clutching the jar. His bed loomed behind him, the blanket twisted, the sheets rumpled. He thought of the worm crawling there, sliding across his pillow, brushing against his face while he slept. He shuddered. The worm slammed against the glass again. James tightened the lid, his knuckles white. He didn't sleep the rest of the night.